Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing this romantic pink eye makeup look. So the first thing I'm doing is using my Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer in medium 1.75 Tiramisu. And I'm just placing this all over my eyelid to prime my eyelids. And then I'm just going to be blending all of that out. For my eyeshadow, I'm going to be using Natasha Denona's Tropic palette. I love this palette. I have used this before in another tutorial. This palette is everything, to be honest. So I'm going to be using the Sangria color, which is like a darker pink mauve color. And I'm just placing that on the crease and going a little above the crease. And then using the Peach Puff color, taking that to blend out the Sangria color. And I'm taking the Peach Puff color a little bit above, like almost to my brow bone, but not really. But I'm just taking it completely and just making sure that everything's blended out. And then I'm taking this brown shade called Cocoa and I'm placing it on the outer V. I was actually just going to leave it on the outer V, but then I ended up taking the brown and just placing it a little bit on the crease just to have it more blended out and more blown out. And then I'm taking the same brush I used for the Peach Puff and just blending everything out. So I'm using this really tiny flat brush to cut the crease, and the concealer I'm going to be using for this is a MAC Pro Longwear NC35, and this is the one that comes with the pump. Cutting the crease can honestly be so stressful, so the only thing I recommend is taking your time with it. I know it has taken me a long time to actually have confidence in the crease that I cut, but honestly, I start from the inner corner and make my way towards the outer corner slowly, and I always do it in little baby steps. We're not in a competition that we have to like rush into it. Also, less product is more. You don't want your crease to be too wet. Now I'm taking the best tool God has given me, my fingers. I'm taking my pinky to marry the concealer and the cocoa color together. I don't want a harsh edge, so I'm just making sure that it's blended out. I'm taking the color Lemoncello and placing that in the first inner half of the crease that we already cut. And then once I place that, I'm going to be taking the color Goosty in the middle of the crease that we cut. And I'm just going to be making sure that when I'm placing the color Goosty that I'm also blending it with Lemoncello. I'm using the same brush that I used to pack on the color Sangria to marry the color Cocoa and Goosty. I felt like it wasn't blending together as I wanted to be blended, so I ended up taking more of the Sangria color and actually placing that in the middle of the Goosty and the Cocoa color. I also ended up placing it at an angle because it was going to open up my eyes a little bit more. And I also like how it ends up looking too. And then I ended up using the big fluffy brush and just kind of blending it over the pink I already had because some of the glitter went on top of it. So I'm just taking everything off and making it look nice and clean. Moving on to my face, I'm using a Maybelline primer, the Master Prime. This is the Hydrate and Smoothing Primer. Lately, my skin has been so dry, so this has been like my best friend. Just an FYI, this doesn't really do much of a great job in priming the skin, but does a great job hydrating the skin. So that's why I'm using this one over my other primers. My skin needs more hydration than anything else at the moment. For my foundation, I'm using an oldie but a goodie, L'Oreal's True Match foundation in the color N6. I've been reaching for this foundation a lot lately because this is a really lightweight foundation, and I feel like all the foundations that have been coming out recently are more of a full coverage, thicker consistency foundations. And right now my skin is breaking out so much that I only feel comfortable using foundations like this that have more of a liquidy consistency that help my skin look like skin and not too cakey. I'm using my Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer again, and this is the color medium 1.75. I'm going to be placing this underneath my eyes, bridge of my nose, my chin, and the middle of my forehead. I love using this concealer for my under eye area and on my eyelids because everything around my eyes is dry. Actually, all of my skin's dry at the moment, but this will really help the dry skin. And if you have dry skin, definitely try this concealer, but also don't forget to give their foundation a try. Their foundation is bomb if you have dry skin. I'm not that dry all the time, so that's why I go in and out from using that foundation, but it's amazing. So over here you can see I'm trying to clean underneath my eyes, but obviously this brush is kind of too big to do that. So I ended up going back using the small tiny flat brush, and I'm just going to be making a line going straight towards my brow, a little bit below my brow because my brows are really skinny and tiny. So I'm just going to clean underneath my eyeshadow. To set my concealer, I'm going to be using this pretty vulgar translucent powder. I'm going to be placing this underneath the eyes, the bridge of my nose, the chin, the forehead, and technically all over my face because I decided to bake with this. I love this powder because it adds a really nice coverage to my skin, but this powder also feels really smooth. I have actually been using this one more than my Laura Mercier translucent powder, which is crazy because I love my Laura Mercier's powder. So while I was doing this, I ended up starting to do my eyeliner because it takes me so long to do it. I get so frustrated doing liner because it can literally ruin your whole look. But the key is just taking your time with it. I know everyone tells you that, but honestly, just take your time with it. And the liner I'm going to be using for this is the Inglot Gel Liner number 77 in black. And I'm using like a really tiny brush. I actually don't use brushes like this. I always end up using like more of an angled brush to do like for brows, but I have been loving this brush. You can get it really accurate, nice and clean. I'm taking a nice, clean, fluffy brush and just using that to kind of like sweep away the powder. I love how my skin looks after baking. Like it just looks bomb, but I do look a little bit more ghostly, but it's okay because once we add the bronzer, the blush, and highlight, I will look more like a human being again. I'm using the Anastasia bronzer and this is in the color Cappuccino. I feel like this bronzer might be a little bit dark for me, but I feel like once I blended it out, it looks good. But this bronzer is bomb. You guys already know I love it. This formula is amazing. It's so buttery, super soft. Great. I will let you know that if you do decide to drop this bronzer, this is gonna break so quickly. Since like the formula is more buttery, it tends to break easily. So just keep that in mind. A trick I like to do is squeeze my bronzer brush and take the product and place it underneath my chin to make my lips look bigger. And I also use this to bronze up my nose as well. I hate cleaning my brushes so much, so this will help me save time cleaning my brush and also time doing my makeup. And for blush, I'm going to be using the Anastasia's Cocktail Party Blush. I ended up using the brown and then the more orangey shade in the middle, which was a big mistake because I always end up using the orange and the pink, but for a change, I wanted to use the brown today. But it ended up actually looking really muddy on me. It was kind of dark for me, but I ended up just taking the powder that we used to take off the baking powder to kind of just like blend that out, and it toned it down by a lot. And then for my highlighter, I'm going to be using the Anastasia amrezy highlighter. This highlighter is bomb. If you guys didn't buy this on the second round, you're missing out. Like, this is amazing highlighter. I can see like literally anyone shine through like miles away. But I'm just placing that on the high points of my face. So like my cheekbones, my nose, my chin, a little bit on the forehead. It looks bomb. I wanted my highlighter to be a little bit extra poppin', so I ended up going with Champagne Pop by Becca and placing that more in focus area. So I ended up placing that in the middle of my cheekbone, like right on top, a little bit on the chin, on my nose, on my lip, and then a little bit on top of my brow as well. And then I ended up taking a smaller brush and placing that in the inner corner of my eyes because, you know, a girl loves that pop. Taking that sangria color again from the Natasha Denona's palette and kind of just smudging it underneath my waterline. I really wanted more of that smokier effect, but I don't think it got as smoky as I wanted. But then I was looking at the final look and I ended up liking it, so I just kept it like how it is. I'm taking that peach puff color on the big fluffy brush that we used earlier, and I'm going to be just pinching it so it looks like a flat brush, and I'm going to be marrying that color with the sangria. And this is going to give us like a nice transition color on the bottom lash line. I used the red liner to place in the waterline. I love this color when I'm using pinks, burgundy, even browns. It just looks so pretty in the waterline. Has to be one of my favorites liners. I wish I could rebuy this, but it was a limited edition only. And for my mascara, I ended up using the Superhero by IT Cosmetics. Love this mascara. And then for my brows, I think it's called goof pencil, something like that, but it was in a number 5, and I ended up doing all of this off camera as well. And then for my lip liner, I'm using this Jonteblu lip liner. So I ended up focusing more on the lip liner and less on the lip gloss, because if you can see the final look, it just looks more like an ombre nice lip, like more of a natural lip, but at the same time like with a little bit of pop. I hope you guys like the finished look of this. I absolutely loved creating this look. It's super romantic. If you guys do like watching videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!